Alright, well, welcome back to another video. So, picking up where we left off on the last one, I did say we were going to look at doing the health, the player health with the HUD, and then also these ground spikes here. So I've got two different sets. I've got the larger ones and the smaller ones. So, let's set up the ground spikes first, and then we'll take care of the health and the HUD after that. I think that'll be the best way to go. So since we've already got the spikes in place, we're just going to go straight to the event sheet, and we'll do the large spikes first, just because that's where those are the first ones the player's going to come across, and I don't know, it sounds like a good place to start for me. So over here, the ground spike's large. I don't think I do have it as a solid behavior, so when the player hits, he's not going to sink into it. He's just going to stay on top of that. Now you could change that so that he will actually sink down into it. Depends on what you prefer for your game style. If that's what you want, like if you want them to be able to sink down, you just have to take off the solid behavior, and I can show you that afterwards as well. So let's dive in. Let's double click here. So I'm going to add a new event, and we're going to go into player. See, it's starting to get the hang of this now, and I've been playing around with some other games and just making some simple little things, so I'm starting to find my way around things better. So you'll see that I'm starting to move a little bit quicker, but still haven't figured everything out. So we're going to do player, and on this, where do we have? On this, because we have it set as a solid, we're going to do on collision with another object. If we didn't have the solid behavior in there, we would do on is overlapping. So we can change it to show you the other way, but is on collision. We're going to choose object tiles, and which one's the small or the large? That one's the large, and done. So we're going to do a sub, or not? Yeah, we're going to do a second condition. So make sure you've got the full bar here selected. Hit C, player. Oh, I haven't added that yet. So let's go to, I want to do the flash. So if we go to our layout here, and if we just double click anywhere, we're just going to add, or I'm sorry, that's not in there, it's in the behaviors. So if we go to our player, see, I still making all these mistakes. Where we have behaviors down here, add and flash. Okay, so we added flash in the behaviors. So let's go back to the event sheet. Make sure we've got the whole event here selected. Hit C, and we're going to do player. Is flashing, but we're going to invert that. So if you right click on it and go to just select invert, or if you just select it, you can hit I, and that'll invert it. So player is not flashing, because if he's flashing, that's going to be like an immunity or an invulnerability for a little while. So we want to make sure that he's not invulnerable at the moment. So player is not flashing, and then we're going to set the action here. So player, we want to come down to the platform actions. We're going to set the vectors for X and Y, and this is going to have the player move. So like, so he'll hit the spikes, and then he'll bounce either on both the X and the Y axis. So he'll bounce up and over in either direction. So we'll set the Y vector first, and we're going to set it to choose. So it's going to choose from a random or from a set of options that we give it. So if we just type in choose, whoops, and I'll just show you, whoops, choose, and you'll see it comes up. Since it's already highlighting what we want, you can just hit enter instead of having to type it out all the way. Parentheses, and choose a value, how far you want them to move. So we'll start out with say 300, and we're going to try and make this kind of random. So we want to just do it between minus and plus a bunch of times. So comma, minus 300, comma, minus 300, comma, minus 300, comma, 300, comma, minus 300, comma, 300, comma, 300, comma, 300, minus 300, 300, minus 300, 300, 300, minus 300. I don't know, that sounds good. And we'll keep it the same for the X. So I'm just going to copy this whole string here, hit done, and then we can actually, instead of doing that, we can just Control C, Control V, and then double click into here, hit back, and we're going to go to change that to the set X vector, and you'll see that it kept it the same because we went in and then hit back. It keeps it the same when you go back forward again. So now we've got the Y and the X vectors set. Now we don't want this like for the player health, we're going to set up a function for that. So we'll have to come back to this and set that, and we'll set it to trigger it just once for each time that it hits. That way it doesn't just sit there and continuously do it. So let's set up the, to finish setting that up, we'll have to set up the function. So I've got the player selected. I need to set an instance variable, and we're going to do health. For now, it's going to be a 5-point health system that we use, 5 hearts for, 1 heart for each. So we're going to set the value to 5 for now, and then it's going to subtract it down, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then when it hits 0, the player's dead. So let's just real quick create the function. I'm pretty sure I added that. So if we double click, and no, we didn't. All right, so let's go to the layout. I apologize for this, but if we double click into the layout, come down here, general has function, double click, we're going to add the function capability into our game. And I'm just going to do a object type subfolder here because that's under the plugins. And we're just going to put function into plugins there. So double click on the add event, and it didn't come up. Why didn't it come up? Okay, it's in our game. Oh, right, because I have to go to plugins. Jeez. So plugins, function, on function, and we're going to call this player health. So you'll have the quotes. So player health. Hit enter. And then we just have to set up the parameters for it. So we're going to subtract. So add action, player, and subtract from the instance health the value of 1. Then hit done. And actually, we want to do that as a trigger once because we only wanted to do it one time when it's called. So click on the function there and hit S for a sub event and system, and then just up here type in trigger. So trigger once while true, and then just Control C, Control V, and we'll delete that up there. So that should be correct. Yep, that looks good. Let's just add a group here real quick. I'm just going to call it functions and move this into our functions group. And I'll throw this up there. All right, so back into here. So we want to do a sub event for when they collide with the spikes. I'm sorry, I am out of it today. I don't know what is going on with my brain. So just select the whole event group there and then hit S for the sub event, and we're going to do the trigger once again. So trigger once while true, and then we're going to call the function. So go to plugins, function, call function, And then if you just hit quotes, it's going to bring the drop down for a list of all the functions you have. Right now we just have player health, so just hit enter and it adds it in there for you. Enter again, and then we're going to do the player flash. So we'll add another action, player, and then flash. The on time and off time, I don't know, let's just set it to 0.03 and 0.03, and it's going to last for 1 second for now. We can come in and change these later. 0.03 and 0.03. You have to do the 0 point. It won't recognize if you just put point. So let's save that. Now that should, you won't see the health part, but we should see the character move, or the player move and flash when we run into that, when run into the ground spikes there. There we go. So then he gets hit, moves again, gets hit. So now if you didn't want him up on top, let me show you that real quick. We can come into ground spikes large and behaviors solid, delete that. Sorry if that was loud. And then come in here, and we're just going to double click in here. So we're going to change it. So we'll go back, and instead of is on collision, we'll put is overlapping the ground spikes. Hit done, and now we'll run it. Boom. Boom. So you have those options, depending on which way you want to do it. It's up to you. I kind of like it when they go, well, I don't know, it just, I mean, you sink right into the spikes, so I mean, you'd be impaled, but I mean, rather than staying on top, I don't know, what do you guys think? I'll leave it as is for right now. You guys tell me what you think. All right, so that's going to be, we'll make a new group here, and that's our ground spikes large. And actually, I'm going to do another add group here. I'm going to put ground spikes, and I'll make this subgroup. And then we're going to take this and make that, put that into our large. Now, essentially, what we can do here is we can just copy this whole event group and then paste it. And I'm going to just minimize this. I like to put it into the groups afterwards. I always get things screwed up sometimes when I'm clicking and dragging around and trying to nest them, and sometimes it nests where I don't want it to nest, and then I have a hard time getting it to unnest itself, and I end up having to delete stuff and redo it. So I prefer to do it all and then put it into the group. That's just my preference. Obviously, you don't have to do the same. So we're going to click into is overlapping again this, but we're going to change this to the small, and I think it's this one, yes, the small, and done. And everything else stays the same, but let's just, on the smalls, we're going to take out the behavior for the solid. That might be loud, I apologize. And then we'll make the group for ground spikes small, and make it a subgroup of ground spikes. Select this, make it, there we go. So now we have our groups for the spikes, and we're all set up for that. Let's do the character health and the health HUD. So we're going to come back here to the layout, and we're going to come up here. Now we're going to have to see actually no, we know that it's going to be in this area over here, so we'll be good there. But we need to add the health bar. So let's double click, add a sprite, and I'm going to open, and I need to come into, where is it here? Where did I put it? There we go. And game, no, not game files, assets. Objects, health bar, 5-point health bar, and it's gonna have to go. What's the order? Shoot. I have to mess with this. I might have the order wrong, and I could have just done import frames, and I should have. So I'm gonna do that now, but I'm just gonna exclude. Actually, you know what? I'll just do this, and then I'll delete this. I think it has to go in this order. So it's the first frame is going to be the 0 health, and then it'll go backwards. I think that's the way it goes. We're gonna find out. I could be wrong. That's a little bit large. Let's change that. That looks pretty good. All right, so let's bring this up into the top corner. Yeah, right about there I think looks pretty good. Let's run it and see what it looks like up on the... Oh, and you know what? We need to put that on its own layer. Oh, that's huge. All right. Anyways, that's probably why. But so let's go to layers. Oh, we do have the HUD layer on here, and it is selected. Why was that so large? Huh. Let me resize the whole image itself. It should have resized that though. That doesn't make sense. If I bring this, why is it? It's sticking to the size that it was. Oh no, because the rest of them haven't been resized. Ugh. All right, so 175 by 30. 175 by 30. Duh. Definitely should have picked a different day to do this video. I am brain scattered, and I apologize for that because it's going to make this video a little bit longer than it could have been. Alright, let's put it back where I originally had wanted it, which was right about there. Let's run it and see. Alright, so that looks like a good size to me, and it's going to follow the player, just like the coins does, or the coins do. So yeah, so now we've got that set up. Let's set up for player health now. Alright, so this is actually going to be really short and simple for this, but we'll go in and player. I need to get rid of that player too, I think, because I think we're pretty good. But player, and we're going to compare an instance variable. So health is less than or equal to 0, and we're going to restart the layout. So if they die, they have to restarts the layout. So let's just layout, restart layout. And that's it for that one. And then we're going to do, so now we'll do player, player, and this is just, I found out that this is just for like it could cause a bug. You don't want it to go over 5 health. Like, so say they collect a health pickup, and they're already at 5 health. It's going to set their health to 6, but their bar is only for 5, and it's only meant to be 5. And so when you start doing the countdown, it'll really mess things up if they're at 20 health and they're only supposed to be at 5, and that's what you've programmed for. So we're going to do another compare instance variable. So if health is greater than 5, we're just going to set the variable. Set value of health back to 5. So even if they pick up a health pickup and it adds 1 to health to make it 6, it's just going to go back and set it to 5 again. Let's just make a group. Player health. Whoops. And we'll select both of these. So make sure you select the whole thing, not just this, but the whole event, and then control and click the next one. And we can bring them both down, nest them in, player health. Now, how we're going to do the change is going to be on every tick up here at the top. I moved that up. I don't think I put that in the video. I just, when I opened this project, I noticed it down here, so I just moved it up before I started. Anyways, add action. The HUD. Oh, I didn't name the object. Oh, frig. Come back here, and we're just going to call it HUD health, or health HUD, HUD health, health HUD, so that one can see HUD first, HUD health. And real quick, while I'm thinking about it, let's put this into our HUD folder. Alright, so now let's come back here. We'll try this again. HUD, HUD health. We're going to set the, not the value, we're going to set the animation. And we're going to set the animation frame to player, and then you can just, oops, you can just hit enter. So player dot health. So the way that that's going to work, I'll show you here. Player dot health. Type mismatch. What? Set animation. Oh, animation. I've got animation. I need animation frame. Set frame. Let's try this again. Player dot health. So basically the way that's going to work is, where's my, come in here. So frame 5 is player dot health at 5 health. So when they hit 4, the value of player health is going to be lowered to 4, and it's going to match it with frame number 4. Same thing, so 3, 2, 1, and when they hit 0, 0. So this should technically work now. If we run this, let's come over here, so we've got our health up top there. Boom, takes away our health. Boom, takes away our health. Boom, takes away, and restart. So that's our health HUD setup, and yeah, that's the ground spikes. If we come over, we can. So we'll test out the shoot. This jump, I made it so that it has to be timed just right to make it, and I wanted to do that just to give it a little bit of difficulty. So, boom, yep. So we've got them both set, and then it'll restart. So that's it for this video. The next video, I want to add in also some saws that will kind of pop out, and the player has to avoid them. So it'll pop out on one from the ceiling on one spot, and then down that long, let me close this. So I want to have it so that down here, when the player gets down here, a saw will pop out, saw blade will pop out from the ceiling there, and then along this wall, the saw is going to kind of move up, back and forth. So I want to set that up, and we'll probably do that on the next video. I think that's where I'll go with next for that kind of a little trap. So thanks for tuning in. I apologize about the lack of brain functioning on this video. I hope you're enjoying the series and that you're learning with me there. And please like and subscribe. Take care.